Welcome back to the English Daily Podcast. I am Anna, and today we are talking about a feeling that everybody knows but almost nobody likes: boredom. Have you ever looked at the clock during a class, a meeting, or a long bus ride and felt that time was moving very slowly? If yes, then this episode is for you.
Hi everyone, I am Jake, and I think this is a fantastic topic for English learners because boredom is not just an emotion. It also connects to attention, motivation, creativity, and even modern technology. We will explain useful vocabulary, share everyday examples, and talk about how boredom can sometimes be a problem, but sometimes it can actually help us.
Let's begin with a simple definition. Boredom is the feeling you get when you do not feel interested, engaged, or mentally active. In other words, your mind wants something meaningful to do, but it cannot find it. Notice the word engaged. If you are engaged, you are involved, interested, and focused on what is happening.
That is a great key word. Another useful word is stimulation. Stimulation means something that activates your mind or body. A lively conversation is mental stimulation. Exercise can be physical stimulation. When people say, "I need more stimulation," they mean they need something more interesting, challenging, or exciting to keep their attention awake.
So here is an interesting question, Jake. Why do people get bored? Is it only because an activity is dull, or is there more to it?
There is definitely more to it. Sometimes an activity is boring because it is too easy. Your brain says, "I already understand this, so why am I still doing it?" But sometimes the opposite is true. A task can also feel boring when it is too difficult, confusing, or frustrating. If your attention cannot connect with the task, boredom may appear.
That is important for learners. Many people think boredom always means laziness, but that is not true. Boredom can be a signal. It may signal that the activity does not match your energy level, your goals, or your skills. The word signal means a sign or message that gives you information. Your emotions often send signals before your mind explains them clearly.
Exactly. Researchers sometimes describe boredom as a gap between what you want and what you are experiencing. Maybe you want challenge, but the task is repetitive. Maybe you want meaning, but the task feels empty. Repetitive means something happens again and again in the same way. Washing dishes can feel repetitive, but listening to a podcast while doing it can change the experience.
Let's talk about time, because boredom changes the way time feels. When we are interested, time often feels fast. When we are bored, 5 minutes can feel like 20. This is a useful expression: time drags. If time drags, it seems to move slowly. For example, you can say, "The lecture was so dull that time really dragged."
Yes, and the opposite expression is time flies. If time flies, it passes very quickly. English learners hear that phrase often. You might say, "Time flies when I am chatting with friends." So boredom and enjoyment can completely change our sense of time, even when the actual number of minutes stays exactly the same.
Now, here is something surprising. Boredom is not always negative. In fact, some psychologists believe boredom can push us to make changes. If you are bored with a routine, maybe that feeling encourages you to try a new hobby, ask a deeper question, or create something original. Without boredom, some people might never explore new interests.
Notifications are a big part of modern boredom. This may sound strange, but technology has changed our relationship with boredom. Years ago, if you stood in line at a bank or sat on a train, you might simply wait and think. Now many people immediately check their phone. We are less practiced at being bored, so even a short empty moment can feel uncomfortable.
That is so true. Let's teach a practical expression here: reach for your phone. If you reach for your phone, you automatically pick it up, often without thinking much. For example, I always reach for my phone when I have 2 free minutes. That habit may reduce boredom in the short term, but it can also reduce reflection, patience, and observation.
Reflection is another strong vocabulary word. Reflection means careful thought about your experiences, ideas, or feelings. When people never allow quiet moments, they may lose chances to reflect. And reflection matters because it helps us understand ourselves better. It helps us ask, what am I avoiding? What do I really want? What should I improve?
So boredom can teach us something, but of course there is also unhealthy boredom. For example, if someone feels bored all the time, even during activities that used to be enjoyable, that may be a sign of stress, exhaustion, or low mood. Exhaustion means extreme tiredness. In that case, the answer may not be more excitement. The answer may be rest or emotional support.
Right. We should make a useful distinction here. A distinction is a clear difference between two things. There is a distinction between occasional boredom and chronic boredom. Occasional boredom happens to everyone. Chronic boredom means the feeling appears very often and becomes a regular pattern. If boredom becomes chronic, it can affect motivation, relationships, and even mental health.
Let's make this practical for listeners. Suppose you are studying English and you suddenly feel bored. What can you do without giving up?
First, change the method, not the goal. That is a powerful tip. If grammar exercises feel dull, switch to a short video, a podcast, or a conversation practice app. If reading a textbook feels heavy, try reading song lyrics, news summaries, or simple stories. The goal stays the same, but the method changes. This can refresh your attention.
Second, make the task slightly more challenging. If something is too easy, your brain may fall asleep. You can set a mini challenge. For example, after listening to an English podcast, try to summarize it in 3 sentences. The word summarize means to express the main points briefly. Small challenges make passive learning more active.
Third, connect the activity to real life. Meaning reduces boredom. If you learn 10 new travel words, use them to plan an imaginary weekend trip. If you study food vocabulary, describe your favorite meal in detail. When language becomes personal, it becomes memorable. Memorable means easy to remember because it is interesting, emotional, or important.
I also like the idea of using boredom as a question, not just a complaint. Instead of saying, "This is boring," ask, "Why is this boring for me right now? Am I tired? Is it too easy? Too hard? Too long? Too disconnected from my goals?" That kind of self-awareness can help you make smart adjustments instead of quitting immediately.
Self-awareness is a great term. It means understanding your own thoughts, emotions, habits, and reactions. Strong learners develop self-awareness over time. They notice when they need variety, when they need structure, and when they need a short break. A break is not failure. Sometimes a 10-minute walk can reset your attention better than forcing yourself to continue badly.
Let's talk about the phrase zone out, because many learners hear it in movies and conversations. If you zone out, your attention drifts away and you stop focusing on what is happening. For example, during a long presentation, you might zone out and suddenly realize you did not hear the last 2 minutes. Boredom often causes people to zone out.
And the verb drift is useful too. If your mind drifts, your thoughts move from one idea to another without clear control. That can be negative if you are trying to study, but it can also help creativity. A drifting mind may connect ideas in unexpected ways. So again, boredom is not a simple enemy. It depends on the situation and what you do next.
Here is another practical tip: create layers of attention. If one activity alone feels too boring, pair it with something light. You can walk while reviewing vocabulary out loud. You can listen to English while cleaning your room. You can practice pronunciation while cooking. Of course, do not choose a combination that is dangerous or too distracting, but smart pairing can help.
Let's give listeners a small exercise. The next time you are waiting in line or sitting on a bus, do not touch your phone for just 2 minutes. Look around. Notice colors, sounds, and people's expressions. Try naming 5 things in English. This turns an ordinary boring moment into language practice and observation practice at the same time.
That exercise is simple, but very effective. It trains attention, vocabulary, and patience. And patience is another word worth learning. Patience is the ability to stay calm while waiting or dealing with difficulty. Many people want immediate stimulation and immediate results, but language learning is a long journey. Patience helps you continue even when progress feels slow.
Before we finish, let's review a few key expressions from today. We talked about engaged, stimulation, repetitive, time drags, time flies, reflection, chronic boredom, summarize, zone out, drift, tolerant, and patience. Try to use at least 3 of these words in your own sentences today. Active use is one of the best ways to remember new vocabulary.
And here is our big message: boredom is not always just empty time. Sometimes it is a clue. It may tell you to rest, to change your method, to increase challenge, or to create something new. If you listen carefully, boredom can become useful information instead of just an annoying feeling. That is a helpful idea for learning English and for daily life.
So to recap, boredom happens when attention and meaning are missing. It can make time feel slow, cause us to zone out, and push us toward easy distractions like constant phone use. But it can also open the door to creativity, reflection, and better self-awareness. The key is to respond thoughtfully instead of automatically.
Thanks for spending this time with us on the English Daily Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe so you do not miss future conversations that help you build vocabulary, listening skills, and confidence in English. Keep practicing, stay curious, and we will see you next time.
Take care, keep learning, and remember this: the next time you feel bored, maybe your brain is not just asking for entertainment. Maybe it is asking for purpose. Bye everyone.